Hey everybody, welcome to the second video of our first lesson. Okay, so hopefully you've already watched 1.1a. We're now on 1.1b. We're going to simplify using GEMDAS. Sometimes people call it PEMDAS. I don't really care which one you use. People have started to use GEMDAS with a G because it's not just parentheses, it's brackets, it's absolute value symbols. It's all sorts of what we call grouping. So when we look at what GEMDAS stands for, the G stands for grouping, okay? Typically parentheses, but it could also be brackets and things like that. The E in GEMDAS stands for exponent, which in the last video you should have learned what an exponent is. You'll notice the next level, M and D, multiplication and division, they go from left to right. And last but not least, we have addition and subtraction, again going from left to right. Okay, so let's take a look. If we want to simplify using GEMDAS or PEMDAS, whichever you prefer, we're going to simplify inside the grouping. And in this situation, the grouping is parentheses, so we simplify those first. So we're going to do those in parentheses. 2 plus 1 gives me 3. Once I've solved that, now I move on to the exponent. 2 squared is 4. Okay, so that's my exponent. I could do that in blue, sorry. We're going to do multiplication and division in the order that they occur, meaning from left to right. So I did 3 times 3 to give me 9. And then 4 divided by 2 to give me 2. From there, I now do addition and subtraction in the order that they occur, which means from left to right. So 9 minus 4, which is 5, plus 2, which gives me 7. The answer to this one is 7. Like before, if you are struggling, you have questions or something, this is where we put our questions. Okay, so if you didn't understand what I did on that slide or anywhere throughout this video, in that cloud would be a good spot to put it. If you need more space, just draw a cloud around whatever you have questions about. So let's go ahead and practice some together. Our first letter in GEMDAS, okay, I'm going to go ahead and write it right here, is grouping. This one I'm going to do parentheses. So I have 12 plus 0, which is 12, and 5 minus 2, which is 3. Everything else gets copied exactly the same way it was. 7 times 2 minus 12 divided by 3 minus 3. The next level of GEMDAS is exponents. That's this one. I don't have any exponents bigger than 1. There are no squares, there's no cubes. I don't need to look for those, so I can move on. Next, I'm going to do multiplication and division. That's my next layer. I notice there's multiplication in 7 times 2. 7 times 2, which is 14. And then 12 divided by 3, which is 4. Everything else gets copied down exactly the way it was. So I copy down my subtraction symbol, and that 3. My last step of GEMDAS, I'm going to go ahead and work on my addition and subtraction. 14 minus 4 is 10, minus 3 is 7. Okay, let's try the next one. First letter, G, grouping. So 10 minus 8 is 2. There are no other parentheses, so I'm going to go ahead and copy everything down. 15 divided by 3 times 2 divided by 2. Then I'm looking for exponents. None of these have exponents, so I can skip that. And now we're going to do multiplication and division from left to right. So 15 divided by 3 is 5. Then I'm going to copy all of that down here. So times 2 divided by 2. 5 times 2 is 10, divided by 2 is 5. At this point, it would be a great idea to pause the video, try a few on your own, and then resume the video to see if you get the same thing I do. Okay, so since you should have been able to try some of these on your own, I'm going to go ahead and do these just a little bit faster. If you need to watch it more than once, like always, feel free to back up the video again. So if I think about GEMDAS, I'm going to do my grouping symbols first. Grouping symbols can mean anything like parentheses or absolute value. I have parentheses here, nothing to simplify in that. So from here, I don't necessarily have to do the grouping first. So if I look at 7 plus 54 divided by 3 times 2. So 54 divided by 3. If I do 54 divided by 3, 3 goes into 5 one time. I have 2 leftovers. I bring down my 4. 3 goes into 24 8 times. That gives me 7 plus 18 times 2. 18 times 2 is 36, so I get 7 plus 36, which is 43. The next one in this box right here to the right, I notice I don't have any grouping, but I do have an exponent. That's a squared. So 4 squared means 4 times 4, which is 16. So 24 minus 16 times 3 plus 15. So if I look at what I have to do next, according to GEMDAS, I need to do 16 times 3, 16 times 3, 6 times 3 gives me 18, and I carry my 1. 3 times 1 is 3, plus 1 is 4. So I'd have 24 minus 48 plus 15. 24 minus 48. This is as if you have $24, you lose 48. So this is positive, this is negative. We're actually going to end up in the negatives. It'll be negative 24 plus 15. Negative 24 plus 15, which is negative 9. Okay, we look at the next one, grouping symbol. We need to talk about this grouping symbol that's right here. These straight up and down lines. Straight up and down lines are what we call absolute value. Absolute value means the distance something is from 0. So negative 18, if we were to draw it on a number line, there's my 0. Negative 18 would be over here. And in between there are 18 numbers. So the absolute value of negative 18 is 18. So I'd get 9 squared plus 28 divided by 4 minus 18. After I do my grouping symbol, which turned my negative 18 into positive, I do my exponents. 9 squared is 81, because it's 9 times 9, plus 28 divided by 4 minus 18. 28 divided by 4 is 7, so 81 plus 7 minus 18. 81 plus 7 is 88, minus 18. 88 minus 8 is 80, minus 10 is 70. Okay, so on this next one, I need to pay attention to what's in my grouping symbols. If I look inside my grouping symbols, I have 2 to the 5th minus 29. 2 to the 5th means I have 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. 8 times 2 is 16. 16 times 2 is 32. So 32 minus 29 is 3. This parentheses is equal to 3. We get 48 divided by 3 plus 6 squared. After I do my grouping symbols, now I need to go to my exponents. 6 squared is 36. So 48 divided by 3 plus 36. If I look at what 48 divided by 3, 48 divided by 3 is 16 plus 36. 36 plus 6 is 42 plus 10 is 52. Okay, so again, grouping symbols first. So if I look at my grouping symbols first, 9 minus 5 is 4. So I have 4 cubed minus. Inside my grouping symbol, I need to follow GEMDAS again. So if I look at this, I cannot simply go left to right. I need to do GEMDAS first, which means multiplication needs to happen first. 18 minus 12 is 6. So minus 6. 4 cubed is 4 times 4 times 4. 4 times 4 is 16. 16 times 4 is 64. Minus 6. 64 minus 4 is 60, and 2 more makes 58. Okay, let's try another one. GEMDAS again. So 53 minus 3 to the 4th. So if I have 53 minus 3 to the 4th. 3 to the 4th means 3 times 3 times 3 times 3. So 3 times 3 is 9. 9 times 3 is 27. 27 times 3 is 81. So we get 7 plus 81. Oops, I made a mistake. Let's take a look. I forgot that I had this 53 to deal with. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and erase that real quick. And I'm going to go back and do, well, if I have 53 minus 81. That means I had $53, this is positive, and then I lost $81, so that's negative. So if I find how many negatives would be left over, I'm going to go ahead and subtract. 11 minus 3 is 8, 7 minus 5 is 2. That's negative because my negative number is bigger. So 7 plus negative 28 divided by the square root of 16. The square root of 16 is 4 because 4 times 4 gives me 16, so that's why that's the square root. We get 7 plus negative 28 divided by 4. Negative divided by a positive is a negative, so we get 7 plus negative 7, which is 0. Nada, nothing. Okay, let's keep going. I'm going to go ahead and speed up just a little bit. If you need to slow me down, go ahead. So I'm going to do my G in GEMDAS first. So grouping. 9 minus 2 is 7, so I have 7 squared in that one. 3 minus 17 is negative 14. And so you'll notice I'm doing it one step at a time. The absolute value of negative 14 is 14 because it's 14 units away from 0. 7 squared is 49. 49 minus 14 is 35. Plus 4 is 39. Okay, we look at the next one. Let's go ahead and do the G in GEMDAS first. So G can be parentheses, brackets. It can be a square root. It could be a fraction. Lots of options here. So this is actually considered a grouping. So if I have to do 29 minus 2 squared. So if I do 29 minus 2 squared. 2 squared is 4 because this is 2 times 2. 29 minus 4 is 25. Times 11 minus 8, which is 3 squared, minus 26. The square root of 25 is 5 because 5 times 5 is 25. 3 squared is 9 minus 26. So 5 times 9 is 45 minus 26. So 45 minus 26, if I do that longhand, 4 needs to borrow. 15 minus 6 is 9. 3 minus 2 is 1. My answer for this problem would be 19. Last two problems, hang in there, guys. I put these problems on here because I really wanted to make sure we knew that in a fraction, we have to solve the top first and the bottom. Okay, so in G, in GEMDAS, the fraction happens, so we do this first and this second. Okay, so if I look at the top, it says 18 minus 4 cubed plus 25. So GEMDAS would tell me I need to do my exponents first. 18 minus 4 cubed, which is 4 times 4 times 4. 4 times 4 is 16 times 4 is 64 plus 25. 18 minus 64 means I had 18, I lost 64, so I'm going to be in the negatives. Okay, and between 64 and 18, I borrow from the 6. 14 minus 8 is 6. 5 minus 1 is 4. So that would give me negative 46 plus 25. So if I owe $46 and I have $25, that means I still owe $21. Last but not least, guys, one more example. Here we go. All right, let's try it out. Again, top first, and oh, hold on. I made a mistake again. Wow, guys, I'm so sorry. What I missed is I forgot to do the bottom. So just because I did the top and got negative 21 does not mean I'm done. This part alone was negative 21. So I'm going to go ahead and erase my marking to tell me that this was a final answer because it shouldn't have been. Okay, this negative 21 is just the top. So now let's go ahead and do the bottom. So that's what I see here. And it says 28 minus 5 squared. 5 squared means 5 times 5. 5 times 5 is 25. So 28 minus 25 is 3. Okay, this line right here, that's the same thing as divide. So negative 21 divided by 3 is negative 7. Okay, let's keep going. Now I promise we're on the last one. Here we go. So, looking at the top first, 4 squared times 6 minus 3 times 6. Okay, so 4 squared is 16 because remember this is 4 times 4. So 4 times 4 is 16 times 6. 6 times 6 is 36. 6 times 1 is 6 plus 7, 8, 9. So that means I have 96 minus 3 times 6 is 18. I'm going to borrow from the 9 to make this 16. 16 minus 8 is 8. 8 minus 1 is 7. So on the top, I got 78. If we look at the bottom, let's go ahead and look at the bottom. We have to follow GEMDAS again. So 11 minus 25 divided by 5. Excuse me, 25 divided by 5 is 5, and 11 minus 5 is 6. So what I need to do then is 78 divided by 6. So let's give that a try. Let's try in black. So if I do 78 divided by 6, 6 goes into 7 one time. 6 goes into 18 3 times. That makes my final answer 13.